CBS NBA insider Bill Reiter here to take a look at what lies ahead out east. Let's begin at the play-in because there's a lot of intrigue there in the days to come. Nets are 8-point favorites at home against the Cavs on Tuesday night for the right to face the Celtics. Conversations of Ben Simmons' availability have been swirling, but what's new there? The seed is 7, Bill, but the team currently constructed ranks where out east in your eyes?
Very, very low. I mean, if we're talking on a longer timeline than just this first play-in game, Joe, I'm still not a big believer in the Nets. And frankly, neither a lot of the GMs that are out there that are in the playoffs. I don't want to see Brooklyn, but nobody feels like they're a force of nature. That said, this is a Cleveland team that, while a great story, has been borderline abysmal since the All-Star game. So it's a really nice matchup for a Brooklyn team that has huge expectations. And obviously, they're in this playing game, did not meet those expectations in this regular season.
Anytime you got Slim out there, you got a chance. But as you said, plenty of question marks still in Brooklyn at this juncture of the season. Elsewhere, Hornets and Hawks facing off in the loser leaves town game. This one's going down in Atlanta. Which of these two teams is best equipped to, let's say, rattle off a pair of wins and steal that 8th seed?
I think it's Atlanta. I think there's some value there for those people that are betting. I think there's a reason to be hopeful, talking to some sources in that Hawks organization over the last 24 hours. They know that the road is long. They got to win 2 games just to get to a brutal best-of-7 series. But we saw this team last year when they actually engaged after the All-Star game and played better defense, elevate themselves, Joe, to an Eastern Conference Finals team. It's a more difficult path this time around, but they've been playing better D. There's been more urgency. The last couple of weeks, I think Atlanta's dangerous and clearly the favorite in this one-off game. And if they get some momentum, certainly not a team you want to face.
No doubt. As for those already slotted, Chicago, really a self-fulfilling prophecy here coming to pass as they'll get the rival Bucks. A lot of bad blood between these two this season and plenty prior as well, but any way you slice it, Bill, it's been Milwaukee dominance for the last 3 to 5 years. How do the Bulls make a series of this?
Well, they've certainly been able to exceed all expectations this year, and DeMar DeRozan has encapsulated that in a really impressive way. This is an inefficient player by the standards of the modern NBA who's been a statistical marvel, been great for the Bulls. And it's a good team. They put together an incredible roster over the last 24 months. But I got to tell you, Joe, you look at what they are and how they've fallen in the second half of the season. Statistically, you always saw this coming. They're not very efficient. They don't play the game the way that it's supposed to be played in the modern era. And they're bad defensively, in the bottom third defensively. So I think, frankly, they need to hope for an off series from a Milwaukee Bucks team that, at least for me, is by far the best in the Eastern Conference. You never say never. I know it's, a 6-3. But on paper, to me, it looks a lot more like a 7-2 matchup from the old days.
What is it? Beware the 5-12, not the 6-3. You're telling me the Bulls might be in for a short series here with the Bucks.
I think I don't know how many more opportunities we're going to get for the Bucks to attack their mascot. That could be short-lived.
Benny the Bull might have to get out there and suit up for 1 or 2 of these. Sixers will get the Raps in the 4-5, which means no Matisse Thybulle when the series does shift to Toronto due to his vaccination status. Not that he's the engine that makes the Sixers team go, but defensively he is a piece, no doubt. How do you stack these two teams up?
Yeah, I mean, clearly Philly is the better basketball team, and they still have championship aspirations. It's almost as if not a single team has won that trade yet, that blockbuster trade between the Nets and the Sixers, because they've just been off. And Joe, you and I have discussed this before. I am very firmly in the camp that is a doubter in James Harden in the postseason, because I have watched NBA games and I've watched James Harden in the postseason. I think Philly's in for a really rough road. It won't necessarily be in this series. I'm not saying Toronto's going to win, but the fact Thybulle's not going to be out there, who is a very important defensive piece for them on the wing, and the fact that I think Philly is going to be underwhelming compared to some of the expectations of Philadelphia means this is a more difficult series. Maybe it goes 6 games than it should be, and it forecasts and foretells real problems down the line when Philly does move on.
Yeah, Toronto going to try and make things hard on the scoring title champion Joel Embiid. Bill, really amazing what he's been able to do this year, not just in terms of production, but availability. Played the most games of his entire career this season, and now he takes that effort into the playoffs when, as you said, things get even tougher, especially when you're playing a defensive-minded team like Toronto. If I would have told you at the beginning of the season Embiid's winning the scoring title, would you have believed me?
No, I would not have believed you, and I guess I would have asked you in that situation, do they adjust the rules so if you play half of a season, it counts? Because you're right, the durability is as impressive this season for Joel Embiid as the minutes and what he's done, and it complicates, Joe, what has been, I think, the most difficult MVP race that certainly I can remember in my career, maybe in this century. You're talking about an Embiid, a guy who caps off this season with that scoring title. It's another huge feather in his argument against Nikola Jokic, against Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think you could vote all three guys number one and be on pretty safe ground. It's incredible what Embiid has done. It's too bad. We'll see if this is wrong. It could be, but it feels like he still doesn't have the help that he deserves in Philadelphia for this run now in the postseason.
Bill Reiter, the real fun starts now. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.